Geographer Podcast, Episode 5.
We're living in an increasingly globalized society now, and it's not going to change anytime soon. The coffee you drink comes from beans originally grown in South America. The watch you wear was made in Switzerland. The car you use to drive to work is sold by a Japanese automobile manufacturer. Despite this rapid globalization, many people are still unaware of what is going on around them, and this needs to change. This is the Lost Geographer Podcast, where you will become geographically and culturally literate and learn the tools necessary to navigate this new global society. It's your world. Own it.
Do you want the most out of your next vacation? Why wouldn't you? You spend so much money already on it, and you don't want to come home empty-handed like so many people do, with the regrets and wishing they had enjoyed their time more and been present during the experience rather than thinking about the next place that they were going and not enjoying the attraction that was in front of them. Here at The Lost Geographer, we have a personalized vacation guide service where we make it all about you. We base it upon your interests, your hobbies, and what you want out of your vacation. We tailor it to you and your party. If you're interested in making the most out of your next vacation, visit www.thelostgeographer.net/personalized-vacation-guides. Welcome to the Lost Geographer Podcast, where our goal is to promote geographic and cultural literacy. It's your world, own it. My name is Rohit Amrither, and I am the founder of The Lost Geographer, www.thelostgeographer.net. This is episode 5, and I'm here with Kieran from the UK. How's it going, man?
Yeah, I'm alright, man. Not too bad.
Good. So, to start off, how about we talk about you, where you're from, and where you've lived?
Okie dokie. So, as you know, I'm British, if you couldn't tell from my accent already. My name's Kieran Mull. I live just below London, in this place called Essex. It's kind of like the Jersey Shore of the UK. Like, everyone's quite orange around there and obsessed with makeup. I used to live actually in Surrey, where Harry Potter was from. There you go. There's my little claim to fame. But yeah, I moved up there when I was about 9 years old. It's just, it's kind of more of a city area in Essex, and I prefer it a lot.
Cool. And so now you're in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, so basically I wanted to travel around the world, like, I'm the same. Like, I want to experience different cultures, different people, like, I'm just fascinated with that. And I think it's really important that everyone kind of gets to experience a lot of different cultures. Because, you know, you can't just stay in one place, in my opinion. Yeah, basically my girlfriend moved to London for a study abroad thing, although she wasn't my girlfriend then. We met and fell in love and all that cool stuff, and she invited me to stay with her in Pittsburgh for 90 days, just like as long as I can stay for.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Yeah, so you're just traveling now. Do you have any plans for where you want to go in the future? Or?
Yeah, so we've been, like, on this trip especially, we've been to Niagara Falls so far, which was insane. I did like a video on that as well. That was pretty cool. I'll talk a bit more about that in a bit. But yeah, we're planning basically. We wanted to go from the East Coast to West Coast, but on the day I came here, my girlfriend actually crashed her car. So she had to, like, pay off a dividend for that, and so we don't have, like, our finances aren't as quite good as we wanted them to be, unfortunately. So instead of going to the West Coast, we were going to go, like, Colorado, California. Instead, we're going to stay, like, around the Northeast, New York, Chicago. I really want to go to Philly, just so I can run up the rocky stairs and film that. But yeah, we're gonna plan, like, properly after she's finished her finals and everything.
That's awesome. So you have a travel vlog, don't you?
Yeah.
I can link to that on the show notes.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Can follow him there. Got crazy cool stuff.
Yeah, I basically just want to film and document my travels, basically for my family and friends. But if it got any bigger than that, that would be epic. Like, travel vlogging is awesome. I love just sharing my experiences with people.
I love watching travel vlogs. It's just so cool to watch.
Yeah.
So now that you're in America and you grew up in the UK, how would you say manners and etiquette differ?
Well, obviously, British people are a lot more proper, you know. I'm from Britain. You could argue that some of us are a little bit like kind of, I don't know, in terms of American, like stuck up.
Are you actually, or I thought it was just a
No,
stereotype?
it's the kind of the stereotype. You're like, we all have bad teeth and we all drink tea. Although personally, I love to drink tea.
Who said there's anything wrong
Yeah,
with tea?
exactly. Yeah. Well, that's one thing. So like a massive thing in Britain is like if someone comes around, you'd be like, "Yo, should I put the kettle on?" And you use his kettle as you boil your tea, and like that is like essential on your kitchen surface, and it isn't here at all. Like I have to put water in the saucepan and heat it up in there. I'm just like, yo, where's the kettle? Like, it's just a thing we do. I'd say that we're a lot more quiet, definitely in Britain. We don't small talk as much at all, and like I'm the opposite. Like my girlfriend is very quiet and quite sarcastic, which obviously fits the kind of British stereotype. Yeah. And I'm very outgoing and kind of loud, which kind of fits the American stereotype. So we kind of like opposites. Mm-hmm. But they don't small talk at all. Like if you go into, I don't know, Tesco, which is like the equivalent of Walmart, it'd be like, thanks. You might say a couple things, but like...
So cashier won't try and chat you up.
Yeah, exactly. You just kind of go off on your own way. And here it's like, hey, how you doing? How's your day been? You're my new best friend. Oh my god. Like, it's really strange how like fake nice people are. But it baffles me. But I really like it.
Yeah.
I find it more interesting.
I can see how you can think it's fake just because it's so different.
Yeah.
But...
It is interesting.
If you think about it, I mean, they're stuck behind the counter all day. They kind of want to have fun with it.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I thought. Like, I'd be the exact same if I was on the other side. Like, I'd wanna chat to people and stuff. And that's what I really like, because you can tell when people are like quite genuine and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I actually prefer that. Yeah, to be fair.
Anything else I do differently in the UK?
I mean, I remember once I was I was in like year 2, which. I don't know, I was really young, like maybe 4 or 5. I'm not sure how the school system works exactly, but you guys don't give a crap about your cutlery, your knives and forks, like you just have it either way.
Yeah.
Well, I remember once I was in like school and you're supposed to have your knife on your right and your fork on your left. Mm-hmm. And it has to be like that. And everyone eats like that. You're not allowed to put your elbows on the table at all. If you do, like, that's really rude. I heard that, like, you're allowed to put 1 elbow on the table here or something like that. And that's okay, but 2's rude. We're not allowed any.
You see, I wouldn't even know.
Oh, okay.
See, our etiquette isn't particularly ingrained in us. Mm-hmm. We're kind of just taught, put your drink on your left. And I think we also have the same fork to the left kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
But we're a little bit... We're not going to get yelled at.
Yeah, exactly.
I've never gotten yelled at for a wrong setup.
Yeah, I was yelled at by this like teacher. She was like, "You're not allowed to eat like that." And I was like, "What?" She was like, "Eat your peas this way round." So like I swapped and like listened to her, and then she walked away, and I swapped back, and I was like, "I ain't listening to you. I eat how I want." Uh-huh. And I guess that's all I can think of at the moment.
That's awesome. So it's like you can't go to the next year until you learn how to use your fork properly.
Yeah, it's like necessary for you to level up.
Oh man, that's funny. So I mean, we talked about, I guess, general manners and etiquette. How would you say it's like doing business there?
We are definitely a lot more. I don't know. Seems like Britain's kind of. London especially is a lot more serious. Not always, because obviously you get every different type of people, but yeah, like there's a lot of kind of high profile people who seem like very set on what they're doing type thing, long faces, all that kind of stuff. Uh-huh. I wouldn't know personally, because like my business is just this travel vlogging stuff and trying to make music at the moment, but yeah, no, like when my stepdad's Met policeman, and he has like crazy hours, and yeah, he is like up at like 3 a.m, like working 12 hours, and I don't know like if it's exactly the same over here, but it seems like it's a lot harsher on the police and stuff like that over there, at least. Mm-hmm. That's what I don't know. Yeah,
I know this has always been kind of a tough question for my guests because they've all been kind of young and not really super exposed to the business atmosphere yet. Yeah.
Well, actually, I do have a very close friend of mine named Greg, who's actually an entrepreneur. So basically he had a drunken night, and he came up with the idea of adding in like kind of traditional British sweets like rhubarb and custard. I don't know if you know any of these, like lemon sherbets, lime sherbets,
I've heard of those,
cherry
yeah.
pips, all that kind of stuff. He was like, yeah, how good would that be on popcorn? And like everyone around him was like, yo, that would be sick, like that would be amazing. Not like that would be sick because he's like in his 30s, but that's just our young speak. But yeah, he actually made this entire business based around that idea called Retrocorn, and he's actually got into different countries now, and it's going pretty well. What I do know is that it's very difficult to start up a business if you're going to be an entrepreneur, simply because there's so much competition. Especially in London, it's crazy over there. But he's actually, look, once you kind of break through, it's quite easy to keep going. Like I guess with everything, but I think it's harder to start off over in London. I think.
I feel like it's a lot like New York. They're both kind of, London's the financial capital of Europe,
of course,
and New York financial capital of Europe. New York's the very same way, cutthroat.
Very competitive. So yeah, that's interesting. But he's doing pretty well with it.
That's good. I might have to try that out.
Yeah.
So what other interesting cultural facts do you feel like the audience could benefit from knowing?
Okay, I've thought of quite a few of these. I guess I was going to say like how it compared. So like one of the main things I noticed when I got here is that you guys don't have roundabouts at all. Like
they're coming through.
Really?
Yeah, there's some, especially if you drive in Maryland, they have.
Oh, okay.
They're starting to put roundabouts there.
I noticed that when we went up to Canada, they had a couple over there, but like over here it's like very blocky, kind of straight. So that confused me. And on that subject, you've got like obviously your signs on the kind of lampposts, the things that hang over. We don't have that at all. We have them like on the streets, like on the walls, and that wall, like you follow that one down and blah blah blah. But I was really confused because I didn't know whether like it in front of me meant like the street in front was like Bomb Boulevard or whatever, or whether it was like the other way across, and that confused me when I first came here. Yeah, another thing is that like the buses, like, are horrendous. Like this, like your public transportation, I don't know if it's just especially in Pittsburgh, I am so not used to that. Like the transportation around London, Essex is just like we're so much more based in trains and buses and stuff like that. You guys are all just kind of automobiles.
Yeah, and that's a funny thing that it's because a lot of the newer cities were built around the streetcar and eventually the car. And a lot of public transportation, like streetcars, were dismantled.
Yeah.
And therefore, that's kind of how we got these sprawling suburbs and everything. I completely agree that public transportation in Pittsburgh is horrible.
Yeah.
But if you go to an older city like New York or Boston,
yeah, they would have more stuff.
It's a lot better.
I heard you guys are actually going to get a monorail in Pittsburgh, but it never went through.
Yeah, because people don't like spending money on public transportation here.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's a very common thing. Like we're always bunched like little salmons and tins on these tubes. It's bloody loads of us. Like it can get very hectic in London sometimes.
Do you guys bike a lot?
I bike a lot personally. Like your healthy ride bike things you got. Yeah, we got loads all over the city in London.
He's talking about ride sharing.
Yeah, those things. We have like loads of those around in London. That's a very common thing, like ride to work scheme, all that. I personally like bike around on like a hybrid racer. That's how I get around. I don't even drive yet. I just love cycling.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought when I came here, like because it's so hilly, it would be so fun. Over in Britain, it's just flat. Like especially where I live, like there's not really that much interest in stuff. Over here, it's crazy differences. Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. The other thing, about the buses, like. This is only a very small thing, but you guys stand up and walk to the end of the bus to get off as it's still moving. No one does that in Britain. No. Like, if you did that, people would be like, dude, what are you doing? That's not okay. That's dangerous. And you guys just don't care. Like,
is it the same way on, like, a tube, or?
No, we all just kind of, you kind of stand there until it stops, and then you all go off. You don't, like... start walking as it's like coming to it.
That's funny. I never thought twice about that.
Yeah, like, and that it's not something I'd ever think about either. But yeah, I like, because my girlfriend would like go to the end of the bus as it still moves, and I'd be like, nope, I'm staying here. I'm sitting down. This is dangerous. Which is funny because I'm a free runner and I do flips off buildings and stuff like that. So you know, it's a funny cultural difference.
Just start a new sport over there: extreme bus riding.
Extreme bus surfing. Yeah,
that's great.
The other cultural differences, which I hate to admit, is that your food is so much nicer. It's so much better, but like, you guys don't have the sugar and fat laws that we do over in Britain.
Which is why we're all fat.
Which is why you get those huge guys on the little things around Walmart or whatever. Those little mobile carts.
Yeah.
Whatever they are. You get a couple of them, but nowhere near as much. I was quite shocked by the amount of fat people I saw over here.
Yeah.
But the food is much more tasty, definitely.
Alright, so what would you say is your favorite thing about your country?
That's a hard one.
You can pick multiple if you want, if there are like things that you just absolutely love about being British.
I guess the fact that simply when I came here, American people love British people, just by default. Like, they're like, oh my god, say bloody again. Like, bloody hell, brilliant. Like, because Harry Potter is obviously such a huge thing, I think obviously that impacted it. But it's synonymous because British people are obsessed with American culture. I know my stepdad's so obsessed with like American culture, and he's like tried to live vicariously through me and plan my trip. Not in like a bad way, but like he's really excited for me. I'd say probably my favourite thing about my country is just the fact that I am British. You know, it's kind of a two-sided coin because obviously we colonised like such a large percentage of the world, and I can go travel anywhere. Like Canada is Commonwealth, Jamaica obviously is Commonwealth. And that's crazy that those different places are kind of still under the Queen. You know?
Yeah.
But it's awesome because I can go travel to these different places. But it's funny because not everyone likes British people. So whilst my passport allows me to go all around the world and pretty much everywhere, which is a huge privilege, not everyone's going to like me.
Yeah, and see, that's kind of what...
Same with Americans.
Well, and yeah, that too, but that's kind of what I'm trying to perpetuate through this podcast, is to, let's say, you went to a country that, you know, Britain hadn't colonized before, and they kind of have a resentment toward British people. I kind of want to show out there that not all Brits are bad. And plus, that was like long ago, you know?
Of course, exactly.
And I want to know your average Brit is really does want to get to know you and want to meet you and have a good relationship with you.
Exactly, yeah. Like that, I completely agree with that. I think that looking at an entire country as like, oh, I'm not going to go there because what happened hundreds of years ago is a very archaic type of thinking. So yeah, I completely agree with you that way.
And I also, I've slandered the media in past podcasts. I will continue to vigorously do so. And it is the media's fault that you get these stereotypes.
Yes.
And because media just shows these giant... They'll show you as a giant group of people rather than an individual.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, that's one thing I don't like about my country, actually, is some of the tabloids and some of the newspapers can be very biased. There's so many different types. You've got the Sun, the Telegraph. My girlfriend actually worked for the Telegraph when she interned there when she came over, and she did some real cool work. Courtney Linda, she's doing really well at her journalism stuff, and she's the exact same who wants to travel and experience different places and get to know personal people rather than the whole concept that's kind of been ingrained into us by media.
And it's funny that you say British media is bad, because I look to the BBC because all our media is even worse.
Yeah, some of the BBC stuff actually is quite biased, but generally it's quite good. I wouldn't give it a bad rap overall. I'd say that some of it's pretty accurate, but if you're gonna get into kind of British news and stuff, as my stepdad always told me, read different newspapers. Like, read at least two. At least, because then you can just see the different, like, because you get very left-wing opinions and stuff, and then very, very right-wing opinions and stuff, and it's quite funny how the newspapers fit into those categories in politics.
Yeah, and that's something I talk about, being informed through multiple
news outlets
Yeah,
and sources.
exactly.
So you get all views.
Uh-huh.
So let's move on to what would you say is the most underrated aspect about the UK? What do people not know about the UK that's so great?
It rains a lot, and if you like rain, that's good. But I feel like everyone knows that. I'm not entirely sure. I feel like Britain's a very well-known country, of course. I'd just say it's a real good place to live, especially like around in the countrysides and stuff. Like it can be very quiet, and if you're kind of a quiet person, you can just I guess you can do it anywhere. But there's a lot of countrysides and kind of properness and all that stuff, and obviously we've got all the traditions.
I feel like the British countryside is something that's heavily romanticized in novels.
Massively so, yeah. But genuinely, the British countryside is pretty damn beautiful. I've been to some cool places like Devon, and I've been down to Newquay, which is like kind of southwest, like near kind of Stonehenge area and stuff. That's totally beautiful, and it's completely different to what you'd see in America, with like the huge trees and expanses. Like it's like you can probably just see a sheep if you turn left, like or a lamb or something like that. Yeah, awesome. I definitely like the countryside, but I'd say if you're kind of into the nightlife or the city life, London, you can live there your entire life and not even see a quarter of the stuff that it's got to offer. So it's awesome. Yeah, it's crazy over there.
So if you could recommend to the audience a fiction or non-fiction book so that they can learn more about what it's like to live in England or the UK.
Well, actually, my girlfriend and I have recently started reading a book called NW. It's about these four characters in the 70s growing up in the northwest borough of London. And there's some very British dialogue in there. I've literally only read like the first 4 chapters, but within like the first few pages instantly, like if you're interested in kind of the British kind of dialect and stuff like that, the bloody hell in it, like what are you doing, like all that kind of stuff, like the kind of council place, and you're interested in that for some reason, which I feel like a lot of people are, then definitely read that. It might be good to hear it, actually, to be fair, to hear the people say it, because it's kind of like Skins, if you've ever watched that.
And that's perfect because we have a promotion with Audible where you can get an audiobook for free if you sign up. So nice. There's a link in the show notes if you want to check out NW. But yeah, that's all I have. Thanks for being on the show. And it was a pleasure having you. Great learning about the UK. And
thank you very much.
To all the listeners out there, until next time, it's your world. Own it.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Lost Geographer podcast. Remember to tune in next week for more awesome content.